When an OSHA inspector walks through your front door, they already know what they're looking for. You see, whether they've been there or not, whether this is the first time they've been in your company or whether they've been in several times, they have a mental checklist. They have a checklist that they're going down and they know exactly what they're looking for. In this episode, I want to talk with you about that mental checklist. We're gonna step into the head of an OSHA inspector. We're gonna walk in their shoes for a little bit, and we're gonna figure out exactly what you can do to paint your company in the best light possible and prepare your team for an unexpected OSHA audit. Let's jump in. Well, hey, friend, my name is David Sawyer. I'm a safety coach. I help busy managers prevent accidents and avoid OSHA. And the way I do this is by helping a manager who feels overwhelmed and underwater and ill-prepared go from being overwhelmed to confident. I want you to have a plan, to know what to do, and to know what to expect. The goal is that nobody gets hurt at work, and that's what Help with OSHA is all about. If you haven't already, go to my website, helpwithosha.com, download a free OSHA audit checklist. It will pair perfectly with this episode because in that checklist, I take you down a list of items that you need to do to prepare your company for an unexpected OSHA audit. And it's a free resource. You can access that resource right now, and there's a video that pairs with it, and I will walk you through that checklist. But in this episode, we're going to step inside the head of an OSHA inspector because sometimes we feel like they're the bad guy, but they're just there to do their job. And there's three key things that they look for the moment that they step foot on your property. The very first thing they look for is they look for what they can do to protect the employee. So they see the employer as the bad guy. They see the employee as the victim. Now, whether that's true or not, that is their perception. And so they're looking for how can we protect the employee? How is the employee in danger? Is there anything that's seriously life-threatening or dangerous that the employee is exposed to? So that's the number one thing they're looking for. How can we protect the employee? The second thing they look for is they're like a detective. They're trying to spot inconsistency. So they know that when they walk in the front door that you're going to tell them good things because you're going to tell them good things. So you're going to say, yeah, we wear safety glasses. Yes, we wear safety glasses. Hey, we wear safety glasses. And then when they walk out on the floor, I see 3 people over there not wearing safety glasses. That's inconsistency. Now, it might not even be something you say. It might be inconsistency because they see it in a written program or a policy or a sign on the wall where the sign on the wall says, hey, people in this work area will wear safety glasses and earplugs. And then they go out on the floor and, hey, you know what? Everybody's got safety glasses on, but not everybody has earplugs in. So they're looking for inconsistencies. Inconsistencies, that helps them spot problems that could hurt the employee. Now, the last thing they're looking for is they're looking for problems. See, the compliance inspector, when OSHA shows up to do an audit, they're not there to hand you trophies. They're not there to give you a pat on the back. They're there to find problems. And so they are going to look for problems. And there's a few areas that are very common. If this is the inspector's first day on the job, let's say it's his very first day ever doing an audit. Now, it's not likely that he's going to be there by himself. He's probably going to be there with a mentor or coach that helps him walk around and do the safety inspection. But if it is his first day on the job, there's a couple things that even he's going to know. He's going to look for frayed wires. Are there any frayed wires? Are there any electrical insulation pulled away from the wires? That's pretty obvious. We can spot that. He's going to look for, are there any unlabeled chemical containers. Again, first day on the job, pretty easy to spot. We got some squirt bottles over there that don't have a chemical label on them. So electrical insulation issues, chemical labeling, and then there's going to be some that are obvious. Like, oh, I see there's a forklift. First day on the job, he's going to know there needs to be a pre-shift inspection. So there's some things that are always looked at. Another example, fire extinguishers, blocked exits, eye wash stations. Do you have them? Are they clean? Are they ready to go? Now, bear in mind that when an OSHA inspector comes on site, he's coming there for a reason. Typically, it's an employee complaint that brings an OSHA inspector into the building. So if he comes in, and let's just say the complaint is, the company's not doing forklift training. Well, that inspector is going to ask questions about forklift training. He's going to want to see training documentations. He's going to see the written programs. He's going to want to see detailed information about forklift maintenance and how forklifts are used and how people are being trained and certified to drive the forklifts. So if that's why he's coming in, that's what he's going to be looking for. But the issue is, if he sees a problem somewhere else, he's going to go inspect it. So it's important as a safety manager, as somebody who is controlling the flow of information, it's really important that you control the flow of information so that you're providing the inspector with the information that he or she needs and nothing more. We're not trying to give him more information. If he's asking about forklift training documentation, we're going to provide that. But we're not going to talk about the scissor lift. We're not going to talk about the boom lift. We're not going to talk about fall protection. We're not going to talk about anything else because we're going to stay focused on the task at hand. So an OSHA inspection, when that inspector walks on site, number one, he's looking for how are employees being protected? How can I protect employees from this employer, right? Perception is reality. Number two, where are the inconsistencies? What has been written down? What has been trained on? Where is there a sign on the wall that doesn't line up with what actually is being done? And number three, do I see any problems, any common problems that are normally seen? And that might be with machine guarding. It might be with electrical safety. It might be with chemical safety. It might be with lockout tagout. Could be emergency evacuation. But usually they are common issues. Now, in a previous video, we talked about the top 10 common OSHA citations. That's a good video to go back to and refresh your memory on, because that's something that, again, top of mind, top of mind, top of mind. Now, one other thing I want to mention, and you can actually purchase this for yourself, but there is a OSHA Field Operations Manual, and this serves as the playbook for OSHA inspectors. So if you want to dive deeper, if you want to know more about an OSHA inspection and what they think and mindset that they're working from, then you can look and you can actually go purchase that OSHA's Field Operations Manual. I have one with me. It's not in my office right now, but I've definitely reviewed it before, and it's a good thing that helps you kind of figure out the process that they use, because there is a format that they use to determine the severity of a citation. And I'm not going to go super deep into that, but just know it's kind of a scale where they look at the severity of the accident, how severe the accident would be, and they look at the frequency. So if you have something where, hey, we got a cord going across the floor, somebody could fall down. Well, that could be a severe accident. They could fall right face first and bang their head on the concrete floor and die. That could happen. The likelihood of that happening is less than a more minor accident. So yes, it's important and they're going to care about it, but it's not going to be the same as employees that are working up on scaffolding with no fall protection and we're worried they're going to fall off the side of the building. So we got to weigh the frequency of the issue and the severity of the issue. Now, I want to point this out because this is something that I think is sometimes overlooked. You know, I talk about how my goal is to prevent accidents and avoid OSHA. When I say avoid OSHA, I'm not talking about doing anything wrong. Not talking about doing anything illegal. I'm not talking about not following the OSHA rules. My goal is when that OSHA inspector steps foot into your facility, you're not dodging the OSHA inspector. You're not dodging the questions. You're making them so bored that they want to leave. That's the goal. The goal is to make the OSHA inspector bored because you've got all your ducks in a row. Everything is working the way it's supposed to be working. Now, a common issue, like I said, the mindset of the inspector is I'm looking for problems. I'm looking for ways and people are going to get hurt, and I'm looking for inconsistencies. So an OSHA inspector can act like a detective where, you know, feel like he's got his magnifying glass out and he's looking through your paperwork for issues. Again, looking for inconsistencies. And so we want to do our best to make sure that we make them bored when they walk in. Now, we covered 3 mindsets, 3 focuses of an OSHA inspection. They're looking for problems, they're looking for inconsistencies, and they're looking for how is an employee going to get hurt. Now, in my online community, stress-free safety, I talk about how to make sure that we have a systematic approach. Because you can watch a video like this and hopefully you glean and get some good information from it. But there's a systematic approach to preparing your company for OSHA and to build a safety management system that actually works. And believe it or not, the very first step is making sure that you understand how someone can get hurt at your company and that we're identifying the hazards. We talk about doing a safety inspection on a routine basis, and the purpose of the inspections is to look for what we're looking for here. You don't want the OSHA inspection to be the first time your employees have gone through an inspection. They need to be comfortable with inspections because all an inspection is verifying that they're doing what they've been trained to do. And not just that, it also helps them understand that what they're doing works in the real world. Because if they do something that we train them to do and it fails, it doesn't work, then we don't need to do it anymore. We need to find a better way. And I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen where we've been training somebody to do a job a certain way, thinking that was the right way to do it. But then we get it out in the real world and we realize, no, that doesn't work. For whatever the reason, there's multiple factors that play into this. But sometimes the real world just doesn't work the way that we have it figured out in our office. So as a safety manager, get out on the floor, talk to people, walk around. And that's one of the last things I want to talk about. It's important that your employees understand the safety procedures well enough to actually talk about it. Because I promise you, safety auditors, when an OSHA inspector walks around your facility, they will ask questions and they're not going to go to you. And your employee's not going to be able to say, I don't really know. You better just go ask David. Not good enough. They're going to ask the people doing the jobs on the floor, hey, where are the safety data sheets? And if they look at them like, I don't really know what that is, we got a problem. So we want to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep our people safe. If you have any questions about this, please put them in the comments below. I always check those. I would love to know how you guys are preparing your teams and your company for an unexpected OSHA audit. Again, thanks so much. If you haven't already, download my free OSHA audit checklist. It's a great way to get started. And you can even go to my website and look into my stress-free safety coaching community. That's something the enrollment has not opened up now, but I am taking applications for that. It's an exclusive community of safety managers and provides a lot of helpful information. So until we talk again, do everything you can to keep the people you work with safe, because no one should get hurt at work.